Hello, Julie here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to share with you how I made a art journal page. I've been concentrating on Christmas cards of late and I felt like a bit of a change. So here we go with this art journal page. I'm going to use a page from my 8.5 inch ring bound journal. It's watercolour paper. To start with, I'm going to use this Kaiser Craft stencil and this Montmartre modelling paste, and I'm just going to put some modelling paste through the stencil on about 3/4 of the page, not complete coverage. The stencil is called Script. I'm using a thin palette knife to do this with, and I think I would have been better off if I had have used a spatula. It would have been a bit easier and a bit quicker to get the coverage that I was after. Once I've finished putting the paste through the stencil, I wash the stencil and the palette knife immediately because I don't want the modelling paste to dry on those tools, otherwise they'll be ruined. I've hunted around in my stash and I've found all of these metals here. Now I've got hundreds and hundreds of metals that I've collected over the time, and I've decided to use them on the background of this layout. I'm using my gel gloss medium to attach the metals because they are bulky and you need something fairly sturdy to hold them in place. You'll see that I apply quite a few metals. I basically cover the whole area that I want to cover, which is about 2/3 of the page, I guess. And I apply a liberal amount of this gel medium. In fact, I'm actually using Atelier heavy gel medium, so it's the really thick, heavy-duty stuff. I left that overnight to dry, and now that it's dry I'm going to use some gesso and cover the whole page completely with gesso, and then I'm going to set that aside to dry as well. I've chosen two larger pieces of metal. One's a butterfly by Enchanted Planet and the other is a flower that used to be a brooch or something. I can't remember what it was, but it's a piece of junk jewellery I bought at the op shop. I'm giving them a coat of gesso as well. I'm being careful to try and get into all the nooks and crannies of all the metals with the gesso. My gesso is dry. I've hunted through my sprays. I've got glimmer mists and inks and all sorts of sprays here, so I've dug out a couple of colour families, and I've decided to go with the pinks and the purples. So I'm going to start spraying onto my page in those colours, and I'm going to also use my water bottle spray and let these colours run down my page. I just go ahead and apply an assortment of different colours to try and get the colour mix that I'm aiming for. The colours I used on this layout were, in Glimmer Mist I used Iridescent Gold, Fully Purple, Basically Bare, Black Magic and Gold. Dilution ink sprays I used Bubblegum Pink and Lemon Zest. And chalkboard from Glimmer Mist I used Chalk. And one was a mixture of two colours that a lady from Queensland gave me to use on a project. For my feature piece, the butterfly and the flower, I gave it a coat of yellow to start with and then sprayed a bit of the deep purple, which was called Fully Purple. So I sprayed it with the lemon zest and then a bit of Fully Purple. I wanted to have a different tone to the feature pieces, so they stood out from the background and didn't blend in. In between each spray, right throughout this process, I dried off with my heat gun. You'll see that with the two feature pieces I play around with them quite a bit, giving it coats of this and that, trying to get the look that I was after. I then used my chalk on the background again. Went back to the background because I wasn't happy with it, and I sprayed the white from the top, trying to just catch the edges of the metals. It wasn't as successful as I would have hoped, and you'll find that I'll come back later on and do more to it. Everything's fairly dry now, so I have attached some adhesive foam to the back of my butterfly and my flower because I want them to sit sort of higher than the background, and I'm now going to use my hot glue gun and attach these onto my page where I want them to sit. Just going to show you some of the beautiful texture here now in a bit of a close-up shot. So while I've got my hot glue gun out, I get a large crystal and in yellow, and I add that to the centre of the flower. So I'm still not happy with the background, so I've decided to add a bit more to it. I'm going to use my Stays On Jet Black ink and my Ranger Archival ink in Chrome Yellow, and this stamp that's like a grid of dots. So I'm going to stamp in the background with both of these colours. I don't use a stamping block when I'm doing this because I don't want a solid edge. I'm just rolling the stamp really in my hand and just pressing it down so that I don't get straight lines. Once I've finished with the stamp, I use a baby wipe to clean it. I use my fine line marker that has got some watered down black acrylic paint in it to put a fine black border around the page, and then I decide to use some white acrylic paint and a dry brush and just dry brush over the top of the metals to try and highlight the tops of them and make them stand out a little more. You can see here that I go over it several times until I get the light top coat, which makes the background look darker. I also have white acrylic watered down paint in another fine line marker, and I decide to give the border a bit of a coat with that as well, just to lighten it up a little. While I'm at it and I've got that fine line marker in my hand, I continue on and put a bit of detail onto the butterfly, putting a white outline around the detail of the butterfly. But as you will see, that does fade into oblivion really, and just becomes part of the yellow, but does stand out slightly, very slightly. For my title, I'm going to use one of these clear stickers from the craft store. I'm going to use the word unique, and as it's a clear sticker, it shouldn't interfere with my background at all. Once I've detached the sticker from its background and decided where to put it, I use my bone folder to really give it a good scrub and make sure that it's stuck onto my page very securely. If I find in the future that it moves or wants to come off, I'll just give a light coat over the top with some matte medium. I'm going to use my Aleene's tacky glue now to attach some little clear gems to the butterfly. Just because I've got a gem on the flower, I thought I would try and incorporate a few more gems onto the page as well. And anyway, who doesn't like a little bit of bling? I'm using my Silhouette pick-me-up tool here to attach the gems. I have seen people using a pencil, and this tool is a bit cumbersome to use, so I might see if I can find a pencil. I still wasn't all that happy with the background. I wanted to have a bit more yellow on it, so I used this Kaisercraft clear stamp called Bubble Wrap and my Ranger's Archival ink in Chrome Yellow, and also the Encore Gold ink pad to stamp around the background. And I basically really wanted it just on the right hand side of the page and a bit on the bottom left corner, so sort of diagonally across the page, but not a great deal of it, just to add a little bit more yellow to tie that butterfly and the flower into the background a bit more. Once I'd done that, I was happy with the page and I called that page done. So I hope you've enjoyed watching my video today. If you have, please subscribe to my channel and share my video with your friends, and thank you for watching.